Good afternoon, New Orleans, or wherever you may be. It's Wednesday at 4, so this must be the Baldy and The Blonde show. I'm Tom Coates with the great blonde Michelle Godin. Michelle, you're busy with something. We're on the air.
I'm just looking things up.
Jeez.
You know, on the fly. You got to stay current, Tommy. Tommy's not used to being in the booth with me.
No, I'm always remote, and I happen to be here today.
He's very remote.
But next week, I'll be gone again.
Oh, it's so shocking.
I'm in a different time
Really?
zone every week.
He really wonders why he's tired.
Well, not too tired to do this.
Yeah, no, this is fun. Yeah, it's just that the law job.
Yeah, that pesky job gets in the way.
Gets in the way of all this fun we're having
and
over here.
As usual, so much tyranny, so little time. There's just too much to talk about.
It's crazy but true.
But we really better dive into it because
so much to
of
talk
that
about.
reason.
That's
yes.
exactly right.
But you wanted to lead off with something about the Tylenol post,
I do want to
right?
talk about
All right,
that.
Go for it.
That the there was an announcement from Trump and RFK and Dr. Oz and others regarding their efforts to look into why we have such an explosion of autism, which we do. And I don't want to debate that. It's just a fact. People try to say, oh, it's just diagnosed more. No, we have lots of profoundly autistic people, including in my family, who cannot talk and who will never get married, will never play on a baseball team, and will require care for the rest of their lives growing up. We knew zero people that had autism like that. What happened in the 90s was the vaccine schedule went from 3 to 7 to 72 vaccines, many of which are administered on the same day. There's no spacing. And that, along with a lot of other things, are being investigated. Because that's what science actually is. For all the people that want to fuss and say the science is settled. Tom, were you ever taught that science is ever settled?
I was never taught that. I hear that in recent years as propaganda.
Yeah. Well, what were we taught about science?
Well, because, I mean, to say something is settled, how do you know that you definitively know?
You don't.
Because what if tomorrow it changes?
Well, for example, if the science was settled when they were using leeches to cure you of a virus.
Well, it would work better than some of the things they're doing now.
Well, it probably would, but we would all be walking around with leeches hanging off of us because the science was settled.
Science was settled.
And we wouldn't have penicillin, and we wouldn't have the miracle drugs that we have now if people just accepted that the science was settled. We were taught in grammar school about the scientific method, which requires curiosity,
sure.
Something that is sorely lacking among the medical professionals today. They never have any curiosity.
Nope.
So we have
follow the
millions.
CDC is what they really mean.
That's it. Follow Big Pharma, follow the CDC. Don't you dare ask any questions. So Bobby Kennedy and Trump and others came out with the theory this week that one of the possible causes of autism may relate to taking Tylenol while pregnant. In response to that, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff, like Kimmel did a whole skit on it last night saying, man, Tylenol is a drug you take when you can't get the good drugs, and, trying to dismiss it. And all kinds of lunatic lefties who I guess went from drinking Charlie Kirk's blood to taking Tylenol and showing their large pregnant bellies to prove that Orange Man ain't telling them what to do. Meanwhile, what's actually out there and being covered up by the left is the fact that it was a Harvard study of 46 underlying studies, including by Johns Hopkins and all other, reputable facilities and universities, etc., questioning the link between the use of Tylenol and autism. And it involves a very complex process, and I don't understand it, and something to do with glutathione, and I know that the autism moms know about this because I have autism. I have children that have autism in my family. So I know these mothers have to act like doctors on their own because the science is settled and the science won't help them. Now, somebody posted on my page, how dare I question the mothers and accuse them? I don't know. This person went crazy and acted as though I was implying that the mothers should have known not to use Tylenol. Now, I don't know how they'd know it because in response to the question raised by this post, it's a legitimate question, who knew about this Tylenol thing until 2 days ago? So I asked artificial intelligence, please tell me, when did Tylenol first let people know that? And it turns out that they answered a question in their online question and answer, I guess, website or something. I'm not positive. I did it on the fly as we were running out the door. But ask your AI for the full details. It's also posted on my page. The response I got from Grok. But basically that, that they really didn't. They contradicted themselves, and it was never on the label. But there were some issues raised in some medical journals. And the bottom line is the doctors and nurses, if anybody should have known, it should have been them, and they should have told their patients. But it seems that it's a very, not very revealing by Tylenol, and they didn't do much to make sure parents knew that. And we also don't know exactly, how much that really is implicated because who knows? It's just a very preliminary thing, and they're continuing, as science should, to look deeply into the cause of this devastating condition, which has exploded. And I am not of the opinion of the people who think it's cool to have autism.
Well, I have a question about that issue, and that is, how is it, because we were told by Bobby Kennedy that there would be a big announcement regarding autism and
Right.
the causes of it
In
in September. So they made their deadline by a few days, by I guess about a week.
Right.
But it's hardly a big announcement when it's something that the medical community has been knowing or should have been knowing about for several years. Why, when Bobby Kennedy's been talking all these years about possible causes of autism, has he never brought this up? He had to.
So
have known.
I don't know that he hasn't brought that up. This is all this all just came up an hour before we came on the air. So
and I would have seen that.
I don't know because I think that my family members would know, and I don't know if they did or didn't. But regardless,
well, no, but
I don't know that that's the big announcement.
Well, and okay,
We'll
maybe
see.
not. It's just weird that it's been sitting dormant for years. He had to have known.
Right.
He could have said
it was out there, and I find it.
But I don't think it was out there because of him. It's just really odd.
The whole thing is odd, and everything that comes from the government is odd, right? No matter who's in office, it's
ain't
weird.
That's the truth.
So that's enough of that. Hopefully, I'll have more information on that next week. But I did want to say, in no uncertain terms, is anyone blaming the mothers for not knowing what was being buried by the usual suspects?
Yeah.
The CDC, the doctors, the nurses. Not all of them, but maybe some of them don't know. I don't know, but I don't find doctors to be very up to date. Oh yeah, somebody's calling me. Right.
Oh yeah, well, let's silence our phones, shall we?
Shall we? And that's just crazy calls. Do y'all get them? Like, look, we have approved you for a $70,000 loan, or you can apply for a tax resolution. I get them all the time from New York.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
We've never had this conversation. I did too. Constantly.
Constantly.
I didn't know you did.
I get them all the time.
All the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, enough about that. We will come back to it later, but. Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up.
So the rest of the show,
I hope that the person that said shame to me.
You can't cure
really,
stupid.
Yeah,
all you did was post Tylenol's post. And all Tylenol's posts in 2017 said, we don't recommend that you take it during pregnancy.
Well,
but the thing
my
is,
point is, just because something comes out of somebody's mouth that you don't like, I mean, that is ridiculous to not look further and find out that this is Harvard talking, not Trump. Anyway, so.
Well, again, back to that post. Tylenol said, we recommend you don't take our product. You don't use our product if you're pregnant.
Yeah, to that one person online in 2017.
But the thing is, but what they said was the same thing that anybody would say during a pregnancy. Don't take anything if you can.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all they said.
Well,
we recommend you don't use our product.
I don't see it exactly
during a
the
pregnancy.
same as you. I see
Well, that is what it says. It's the plain language is don't take our. They didn't say we believe it to be dangerous.
Right.
They said what you would say about any medication. If you don't take it
if
during
you can
pregnancy.
avoid it, you don't. If you have 105
Exactly.
fever, you might have to do something. So, this needs to be cleared up, not by the likes of Baldy and the Blonde.
All right. So why don't we set up? Okay. So we just used it.
We just used our whole first segment
on something we weren't going to talk about.
We're going to have to go to 2 or 3 shows a week.
Jeez.
It's just not working.
Well, okay.
It's
Anyway,
too much.
So
I know you can't be here, but I'll be here. So
I know. Okay. So when we come back, we will be talking about basically more about the Charlie Kirk murder and the battle for free speech and where it might be headed, because there's some people in Washington who you would think would be on the correct side of things are very much on the wrong side of things.
Yes.
And we'll be going over some emails between us and them, and their quotes.
Yes.
And you'd be surprised because you'd think they're the good guys.
You think.
And they're like itching to become.
I mean, yeah.
You don't ever want to become what you hate, and they're headed down that road.
Always got to watch the people who, if you believe in free speech, it comes with consequences, and it doesn't make it okay just because somebody on your political side is for censorship. And that's where we're going right now.
Yeah, and it's,
so
it's
we'll talk
more
about
dangerous if it comes from your side.
Welcome back to Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michelle Godin here with Tom Coates, shockingly, actually in the studio this week. We are here every Wednesday at 4, and you can catch all of our shows at baldyandtheblonde.com without commercial interruptions. So we're going to talk some more about free speech and how times like this where people get real mad and real emotional because, after all, the left has been saying ugly lies about the right for 10 years. Fascist, Hitler, Nazis.
Oh, way more than 10 years. Come on.
Well, but
It's like
really bad.
forever.
Yeah,
But-
forever. Probably, though, I think of it more as the 10 years being the rise of social media, where those lies have a greater reach.
Yeah.
And I think a greater effect on the loonies out there who are now engraving bullets matching the accusations that are lies coming from the left. So the bullets aimed at our people now say, fascist, catch this, fascist. That was for Charlie. And today, with the horrific murders at an ICE facility, anti-ICE, coming from yet another leftist lunatic. What remains to be seen is whether he is connected to the trans Antifa group that many of the others have been. So we'll see. Anyway, so we're going to make sure that we talk about both sides committing going in the wrong direction in terms of their response. And Representative Clay Higgins, who I hate to say anything bad about because usually he is so...
Well, if he's wrong, he's wrong.
He's right on usually. But I want y'all to know because he's a good guy, I think maybe he is reachable on this topic. So he on September 11th, the day after Charlie's murder, issued a tweet or an X post saying as follows, quote, "I'm going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life of every post or commenter that belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk." Close quote, period. What'd you think of that, Tom?
Well, it's horrific.
Yeah, it is.
And then there's some... It gets even worse. He talks about banning them in all caps, banning them from all platforms forever. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm going after their business license. This is quoting.
Yeah.
I'm also going after their business licenses and permitting. Their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. They should be kicked from every school, and their driver's licenses should be revoked.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So maybe
for bad speech,
Yeah, so
come
maybe
on.
and people have a right to say ugly things.
Yes.
And maybe he did it at a very emotional time.
Well, that's what I thought.
Okay, so you reached out to his office,
did.
and we, right before going on the air, received a reply.
Yeah.
And we haven't even had a chance to discuss it. We each we looked at it, but haven't really had a chance to discuss it.
I wrote him last week and asked him.
Okay,
and they wrote back today.
And they
very
finally-
nice, very
Yes.
know. But I just 100% disagree, and I hope you do too.
And so we thought maybe he would somehow clear it up, and he made it much, much worse.
Yeah, well, and we're telling y'all so you can reach out to him. I don't know if you should do it now or wait and see if he actually does introduce any sort of legislation and then go crazy. I don't know.
Well, still,
just
it's
leave
an
it up to
indication
you.
of who you have in Washington.
It is.
So, because you know what?
But wait,
governments-
he's not a lawyer. He's
No.
not a constitutionalist. His background is in law enforcement. They tend to be more, authoritarian than... Because I consider myself a classic liberal.
But he would call himself a freedom lover and all that.
Yeah,
and he's not.
and he
He's
generally
not.
is.
Yeah, well...
But this is terrible.
But and it's big. It's very big.
And it's
he
very-
wants to kick him out of school, revoke driver's license, business licenses, ban them. And again, maybe he said that when he was emotional.
Yeah,
But
let's see what he said in the letter today.
he doubled down and actually made it even worse than doubling down. This is quoting. "It is intellectually unsound to equate freedom of speech with absence of accountability," which of course nobody's ever said you shouldn't be held accountable. Again, quoting, Societal standards have always established parameters for behavior. We've always said that.
Well, we agree.
Society and culture are much more controlling than government, as they should be.
Yeah.
Okay, back to quoting. A moral society should absolutely remove a man standing in the center of a town square screaming in gleeful celebration at the political assassination of a Christian leader. Right, society should do that.
Right,
But what
so
did he
far
say?
he's okay. No,
he
I know, but-
said congressional authority.
Correct.
That he would vote for a bill that did all this.
That's what he said September 11th. What you're reading now is what he says today. Does he say anything today that says, yes, I'm going to introduce legislation?
No, but he never backed off of, I'm going to use congressional authority.
So let me just give him the benefit of the doubt, because he is, I think good guys deserve the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that is backing off by saying societies should regulate that, and he does not reiterate his initial post.
Yeah, he didn't retract it.
He did not, but
Right.
But you know,
And I'm not willing to just let him be. We're going to start with he's a good guy. I'm not.
well, I will start with.
I'm
he's a
not.
good
I don't
guy.
do that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean that's silly, because if he's acted like a good guy all this time and he does something, which I think the answer might be just that it's an emotional post on September 11th.
That he never retracted.
Well, to be fair, the response came from his aide, not from him directly. And let's not say, let's just leave it at that.
It's in quotes.
Yes, I know, but what he doesn't say is, and I plan on introducing a bill.
No, correct.
So he may not.
He didn't say, "Wow, I should have never posted that. I went way too far."
Maybe
because
he's like the Fonz and he can't go wrong.
No,
Maybe he can't.
No, I don't. If you're posting stuff like that, that's
It's bad.
so tyrannical, and we are anti-tyranny. And
Totally.
and again, pull your business license, your driver's license. You can't go to school. I mean, he was very specific, and now he could never get away with that. But now we know Now we know
That-
more what we have in Washington. If you're represented by Clay Higgins, he just revealed himself about something, because you really know about what a government or a representative is capable of doing in a time of crisis. Because we've been brainwashed since we're little kids. We're free, free, free. Really? They shut us down in COVID.
Yep.
What does a government do during a crisis? We'll really tell you all about them. And now we've reached a crisis point, and he's willing to shut you down where you can't do anything.
Well, and the problem
way
is,
worse than the COVID shutdown.
Let's just say he was to introduce that sort of legislation. Well, who do you think that would be used against? I mean, we already know what they did, what the left did through the actual government, not like Jimmy Kimmel has to pretend that maybe the FCC had something to do with him getting kicked off the air for 3 days, okay? This was direct, where Biden sent his goons into social media and literally pointed out posts that they wanted removed regarding COVID, including from eminent physicians around the world and little folks, regular citizens too. So that was direct interference by the government in free speech. And that is what Representative Higgins is arguing for. I'm hoping that was just an emotional thing. But in case you were feeling like, well, maybe it was just him being emotional, there is Pam Bondi.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
We'll have to wait till after the break. We've
Yeah.
got a couple of sound bites from her, and she's equally bad, and she's in a position of greater authority.
Much greater. She's as y'all know, the Attorney General for the United States of America, and she wants to institute rules and laws against hate speech. Of course, that is 100% unconstitutional, and it is why J.D. Vance lectured the EU about their loss of freedom, where comedians, as we've covered in the past, Mr. Linehan is going to jail for jokes, and just yesterday, Katie Hopkins, who is hilarious and a very influential person in England, is also being arrested for her speech on her radio show. So, do we want to have hate speech laws that our opponents can use to jail us, as Hillary Clinton called for, Kamala Harris called for, and we played all those quotes?
Well, what Higgins is calling for is worse than jail.
Yeah, worse than jail. So anyway, I don't I don't agree
You
with
should
that.
get out of jail.
All right.
Baldy and the Blonde are back. I'm Tom Coates with Michelle Godin, and as we always say, so much tyranny, so little time. And we're about to now listen to Pam Bondi, speaking of tyrants, or at least wannabe tyrants.
Yeah. She's done absolutely nothing.
Well, I guess that's what you want your tyrants to do.
Right? Nothing
So that's
except
good.
except to threaten to infringe on our free speech.
Yeah. So we got two clips. The first one, let's see. This was actually they're both from September 15th, 2025. So what is that? 5 days after Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Yeah, let's roll.
And this was on a podcast. It's called the Katie Miller podcast. That is number 8.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We
Really?
will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Oh,
And
my God.
It always comes down, though, to who defines hate speech.
I mean, who ever heard this is America and she's the
Right.
U.S. attorney?
And that question.
I mean, the attorney general.
Okay, so
sorry.
that question was posed by, what's her name?
Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller.
Yeah, Katie Miller. That's Stephen Miller's wife.
It's very scary
Yeah,
because, you know,
that's who we have in Washington.
that's it.
Let's
again,
criminalize hate speech.
Let's just say again that if you're for freedom, you're for freedom. And the last thing you want to do is that when you have power, use it to punish your enemies because they were saying mean things about Charlie Kirk. Believe me, those people are going to get punished by their own social network, by their jobs, in ways that are appropriate, not by the government.
Well, that's what we were
That's
getting
why
at.
we have a First Amendment.
Yeah, that's what we were getting at when we were talking about Clay Higgins. His culture and society is
Yeah,
much
he's right
more
about it.
punishing.
Yeah, he's right about that. And
Well,
that's-
no, I've been saying that for years. He just said it in an email
Right.
without retracting his other statement.
I hear
statement.
you.
I'm not giving him credit for that. All right, so the other one, this is Pam Bondi. This is just a few hours later after that first horrific quote. Now she's on Fox with Sean Hannity, and she wants to criminalize not serving somebody. Like the donut case in Colorado, that was a civil case.
And she wants to make it a criminal offense.
She wants to make it a criminal offense. Yeah, let's see what she has to say here.
Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
So you had 2 employees at Office Depot that refused to print posters regarding the Charlie Kirk vigil. Now, Office Depot handled that
Yeah, of
internally, but now we want Pam Bondi, we want the feds to go
Can you
after.
imagine?
Where do we
I mean,
live?
I don't know. That she should have been fired right
She
after.
should have been fired.
On September 16th. You're fired because that is un-American, and it is exactly what the left does. Okay.
Right.
And that's horrifying because here's really what would happen if we were so stupid as to pass a law like that. Nobody on the left would get arrested ever because we don't arrest them.
No.
They can do whatever they want, right? But as soon as it changes to the Democrats, Marxist, communists being in charge, honey, all our asses are going to jail. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Yeah. You and Baldy and The Blonde, look.
Oh, we
FBI, come with us. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are nothing but hate speech if you wanted it to be.
Absolutely. I mean, she is out of her freaking mind. And y'all need to know that. Pay attention to her. She is up to no good. And you got to hold the line on free speech because it's really fun for a politician to pose and say, we're not going to let you say bad things about Charlie Kirk. Well, I'll let you say it all you want. And, I'm not going to your business. I'm not patronizing you. And by the way, the National Weather Service, I don't know what's going on in New Orleans, but a lady from the New Orleans National Weather Service was posting how the Charlie Kirk Memorial was a Nazi it looked like a Nazi rally to her.
Well,
because it was a stadium filled with people.
Yeah, she posted.
That was basically.
She ran the picture through a filter so it was black and white.
Yeah.
And it was so it resembled black and white photos from the early 40s. And then it was
Crazy.
a stadium full of people. Really, you take a black and white photo of the Democratic National Convention and you'd have the same look. So then where
crazy.
are you?
And then it's the same thing like with these 2 goofball firemen. Okay, so I really do think that's a problem and they should be fired because what if they come to your house is burning down, you happen to have a Republican sign in your front
Sure.
yard, they're letting it burn, baby, because, so there are things that, but those are not government actions. We are talking about actions of the private sector. And I'm talking really fast because we have so much to cover. Where do we go next, Tom? Let's go with the commies. with a warning about what's
Oh,
going
yeah,
on
go
in
ahead.
our
You can set
country?
that one up. Go for it.
Yeah, so all of this comes down to the left has lost their mind. They're nothing like Democrats of the past. They are for absolutely coddling themselves and saying that they're, oh, Jimmy Kimmel, free speech, blah, blah. And meanwhile, they have raised the level of violence in this country off the charts. But it was all planned. And there's a man that Tom and I love named G. Edward Griffin, wrote a great book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. But way before he did that, he was exposing what communists really wanted to do in America. And this is part of, he did an in-depth thing with a guy who used to work for the KGB that defected to the U.S. And this is part of a little warning he gave about how, what the communists do in America.
This was
this is from 1952?
No, this is from 1969.
Okay.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the press..."
Notice that they didn't say communist.
Right.
Right?
Never.
They left that one out because
Right.
it's them doing it.
That's what they are, yes.
prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind.
Right, repetition.
Repetition.
Constantly calling
Constantly
fascist, Nazi.
fascist. And you heard what he said. He said, and have groups that are associated with anti-fascism.
And tolerance.
Yeah,
yes.
and
Use
tolerance
them.
to come after us and call us fascists. And come
And
on.
now, if you go online and you look at this presentation the reactions to it, and because he says that there's a 1943 directive by the Communist Party.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people online saying, no, there was never any such directive. Okay, maybe that's true, but notice that what he said was in the directive is happening.
It's happening.
It's
Of course.
exactly happening.
And it's also very similar to Saul Alinsky's rule for radicals. It's the same as the Chinese color revolutions. Just to paint your opponent in the most horrible light.
And it ends up in
gin
murder.
And it ends up with murder. And who's getting murdered? Us. And I will not listen to both sides. I'm not listening to it. Let's just read off a couple of little things. On my Facebook page, I have posted a chart that lists assassinations going back to the 1860s, and almost every single one is by a leftist, okay? I don't think there's a single Republican in the group, so... and fascist is being engraved on and written on bullets, as is anti-ICE. And we have the congressional baseball shooting, left wing. Burn down cities in the summer of love, left wing. Lee Zeldin was stabbed, stabbing attempt, left wing. Covenant School shooting in Nashville, left wing. Butler, Pennsylvania, left wing. Guy who was in West Palm that got convicted yesterday and tried to stab himself with a pen, left wing. Abundant Life Christian School shooting, left wing. United Care with the rock star of the left. What is his name? Luigi, left wing. Just on and on and on. Murder at the Israeli embassy, left wing. ICE facilities, left wing. Firebombed. Minnesota Catholic school shooting, left wing. Again, with fascism written on the bullets. So I'm sick of it. It's not the same. We're not the same. They burn cities. We burn candles.
Okay, so that's a perfect segue. You didn't even mean to, but you just made a perfect segue to another clip I want to play.
Okay, go.
This is a sports journalist. I've never heard of her before. Her name is Jamel Hill, something like that. She used to be on ESPN. And she was talking that the 2 days after the murder of Charlie Kirk, she was talking about the rights response. Now, we just heard what you just gave us a good left response, was fires burning down cities, billions of dollars.
I didn't even read half of them.
People killed. And here's what she has to say about the rights response, and she's correct.
In the wake of Charlie's murder, there was an incredible amount of angry discourse from the right, blaming the Democrats, blaming liberals, saying, you're the reason this happened.
Okay, she's correct in that, but notice she was going to absolutely identify the very worst thing that the right did.
Yeah.
And she did.
She did.
And what did she call it?
Angry
discourse. That is the rights response.
Exactly.
And then truly the rights response we saw at Charlie Kirk's memorial when you saw forgiveness. And grace It was really shocking.
It was.
That was
It was
a really
beautiful.
difficult moment for that poor woman. You could see she really needed all the strength that she could pray for to get
awful.
through that moment. And she granted him forgiveness. And that was met with a great deal of applause. That's the right response.
That is our
angry
response.
discourse by some and forgiveness by the wife.
Yeah, and you know, nothing from the left. I mean, we got nothing. No appropriate joining in what has been a terrible loss for conservatives in this country, especially young people.
There may have been an odd voice or two.
Welcome back to Baldy and the Blonde. I'm Michelle Godin here with Tom Coates, continuing on in our discussion of the attacks on free speech, and especially in light of the murder of Charlie Kirk coming from both sides, sadly.
So we have a couple of sound clips from his memorial. This is Erica Kirk, his wife. We got two of his, just talking about how there was no violence anywhere.
There wasn't none.
I don't think anywhere worldwide we
None.
would have heard about it.
And it was a worldwide mourning.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, here's the first clip.
God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting. We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival.
That's totally accurate. And had, God forbid, someone analogous on the left, if they had an analogy to Charlie Kirk, they don't. But
No, they don't.
But okay, so without naming any names or initials, you can imagine someone on the left who would be as close as you can think of to Charlie Kirk had something like that happened
Oof.
to that person. It would
City would, everything would be burned to the ground.
absolutely. If it happened with St. George Floyd, it would happen with a popular leftist.
Imagine if it was
politician.
somebody who wasn't a fentanyl-using criminal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and what
exactly.
happens though when it's Charlie Kirk? You heard what she just said.
Yeah.
God's mercy. I've seen God's mercy these last few days because look at the right's reaction.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know you're going to get ready to play something else, but I want to say that to anybody who believes that he was a racist because you've heard half of his sentence, I kind of beg you really just to go listen to him. You may not agree with him, but with regard to race,
You won't find anything.
His entire point is nothing to do with judging people by the color of their skin. What he says is that the government approach to race has been terrible for everyone.
Yes, and he's correct.
And he uses statistics and he spouts the words of probably the most eminent black intellectual in the country, Thomas Sowell,
Charlie,
to do so. Anyway, go back with Erica.
All right, and this is her getting through the moment when she forgives the young shooter.
Awful.
Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. The young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate. Charlie wanted to help them.
Because they're told constantly that they're the oppressors.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
Bad
Charlie was
people.
trying to show them they
well,
are good and they do have a purpose.
They're the oppressors, and they're told that we're the bad people too, though. That the
No,
right
but
is the bad
but those young men she's talking about, they are told that they are the oppressors.
Yes, they are.
He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. He wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That young man, I forgive him.
And let me tell you, that was followed by a long, long ovation. There was not anybody in the crowd saying, "No, don't do that."
Right.
No, you had a stadium. You had probably, I don't know how many millions saw that, and probably nearly everyone who saw it was shocked that she was able to get through that,
Yeah.
and happy for her that
That you could.
that's her sentiment.
Because that is,
That was hard to watch.
Very hard to watch, and it's what we all know we're supposed to do.
Now, do you suppose that would come from the left
Never.
at all? No,
Never.
seriously, burned cities and people dying as a result. That's what you would get.
without it. We know that from the
Absolutely.
past experience. So
Yes, right. It's not. We're not guessing.
no. How about Charlie knew that people wanted to kill him, and he says it in clip number 4.
All right. This is from September.
And he did it anyway because he was courageous and he
That's right.
believed. He believed in God. And so people are like, oh, well, he was for guns. What he said was, yes, some people are going to be killed if you have a Second Amendment and you have freedom. Well, Dwight Eisenhower said, yeah, you can be completely safe from any possibilities of being hurt. It's called a jail. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
right.
want to, so yeah, he didn't. Anyway, he didn't expect to be killed, but he understood that he was risking it, and it was worth it to him to try to reach out to people
This is
peacefully.
This is from a Turning Point event in September of 2023, and if you hear another voice or hear that he's talking to somebody, that person's Riley Gaines.
Yeah, the lady swimmer who
Yes.
lost to the trans man.
This is why I call them a mafia. They extort, they blackmail, they threaten. You wake up with a rainbow flag on your mailbox, marked for extermination. These people are zealots. They'll hunt your family down. I'm not joking. I have full-time security because the trans zealots want to murder me. These are not peaceful people. These are not polite people. A lot of them are pharmaceutically deranged. They're mentally disturbed people, and we give them these unbelievably powerful pharmacological compounds, which, by the way, they go on to shoot up schools like in Nashville or attempt to shoot them up in Colorado. But these people are zealots. They're not live and let live. They're mentally disturbed people that want to murder many of us.
Yep.
Well, he's right about that.
Yeah, I mean, and they got him. So he was a brave man to risk his life in order to peacefully discourse and discuss with people who got to come to the front of the line if they were of an opposing viewpoint. And I believe some of this has backfired because now people all over the world are actually watching what Charlie did and said. You know?
Absolutely.
They way more
Yes.
than they probably didn't even know who he was.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And now they're like, wow, that guy's makes a lot of sense.
Well,
you know,
you
he
know-
tells young people basically, get married, get a job, don't be a deadbeat, don't spend your life gaming, and get some purpose to your life. And you know what? That's hopeful. That instills optimism.
Well, and that's what his wife said. Is that he was trying to save they're lost.
Exactly.
They have no direction. They've been scolded and for their whole lives.
Boys, be
And-
quiet, sit down.
Well, and again, you're the oppressors.
You're the
You're the
oppressor.
problem. Yeah.
Toxic
And
masculinity.
people will have denied this, but there's been many, many examples of leftists cheering this. And let me tell you, that means that they would rather see me dead or hurt than the shooter.
Yeah,
Think about that.
they would.
They would rather rather see me dead than the shooter dead.
Yeah, for sure.
Incredible.
And then, and the crying from the left, who can always, no matter what happens, somehow try to become the victim. Number one crybaby in the country, Jimmy Kimmel, right? So he goes on TV, and what he actually said that was horrific was that the killer was MAGA. Now imagine, that is so, that would be like saying that George Floyd was killed by a civil rights activist, Democrat.
I know.
It's just disgusting.
Now, he has every right to say something
He can say it,
stupid
and as we
not funny,
always
even
say.
though he's a comedian.
As-
You can be not funny, and you can be a moron on national TV.
he's
You
not-
can.
He's, but only because he's on the left. We have no stations on.
The point
yeah,
is,
no, we do not.
he has
So,
every right to say it, and his ABC had every right to suspend him, and they had every right to bring him back.
yeah, whatever.
So,
So,
but what we don't
else-
want is that speech criminalized, like Pam Bondi
Well,
wants to
I know,
do.
but he got away with. Well, I mean, he didn't really get away with it because the local. I forget what you call them, but like Sinclair and all, those groups are refusing to carry his show anyway. So because as we were saying, the way you regulate, people who use free speech but do it in an offensive way is, hey, we don't have to hang out with you.
That's how they
You
out
don't have
themselves.
to hang out with me. There's a lot of people don't like me. I'm fine with that. I don't care.
They out
know?
themselves by saying what they have to say.
Yes.
Good. I want to know what you have to say.
Yes.
Now I know
And-
I know what you are.
And do you think that I could get a job at let's see, some left-wing law firm? No, they're not. And is that a violation of my free speech? No, it is not. It's a consequence of my free speech.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's consequences for things that you do. And you may be free to do them, but there will be consequences. And that's America, you know?
Should
but
be.
I'll say this, the Democrats, they repeatedly went after like One American News Network, et cetera. Anyway, this is Baldy and the Blonde. It's been great being with y'all.